This is Nixon. Oh, here he goes! Oh, my goodness!
They may not like the cold,
He's taking it the distance!
but they represent the green and gold.
Love to Watson. Going deep, has a man. It's caught. Watson is in. Touchdown, Green Bay.
Welcome to the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, Packer family. As you know, my name's Matteo, alongside my co-host Joe, and thank you for joining. This episode, we're going to be going over our NFC North rival, Detroit Lions, who we will be facing in another home game for a Thursday night football game. We are really excited to go over this with you, and before we do so, we'd like to just let you know and remind you, if you haven't yet, please hit, smash, like, and subscribe to our podcast, and that way you will be notified whenever new episodes are available. Also, if you haven't yet, please find and follow us on our Facebook page, West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, or our Twitter and TikTok accounts at WC Cheeseheads. And we are here to provide you with all information, anything and everything Packer related. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. So, Joe, how you feeling?
Matteo, I'm doing good, feeling great, coming off that win against the Saints. Hoping we could continue our momentum and carry that fourth quarter into this game against the Lions and knock off our division rival. Lions are playing some pretty good ball right now, so hopefully that our momentum from that last game can carry over and we can knock these guys down.
Yeah, and you know, going up against this Detroit Lions, I know we went over this early on before the season started, but this is a different Detroit Lions team, and you know, granted, in the past, the Lions for some reason have kind of always had our number, but something just feels different about this Lions team this year. They're playing some really good football out there, and so I want to dive into a couple things. One of them being our O-line. So our O-line is really going to need to step up against this Detroit Lions team because they are not allowing any bit of the rushing to occur on the offensive side. So we're really going to need to try to figure something out when it comes to our O-line. I know in our last episode against the Saints, I had mentioned about protecting Jordan Love, but this digs a little deeper because if Aaron Jones is not going to be available for this game and we got to go with A.J. Dillon and Patrick Taylor, we are really going to have to try and open up some holes and some gaps to be able to allow them to gain some yardage because, like I said, they're just not really allowing anything to happen on that side.
Yeah, it seems like these last 2 weeks, both against the Saints and now this upcoming game against the Lions, we've been facing some really good defense. You know, the Lions' defensive line, in this entire season, they've only allowed a total of 216 rushing yards. We played Bijan Robinson in week 2, and he ran all over us. The Lions just held Bijan Robinson to 33 yards and 10 carries. You know, if they're doing that to Bijan and we have A.J. Dillon going, we're going to get nowhere in the run game unless this offensive line can step up and open up some holes for him and Patrick Taylor if he's running the ball as well. We're hoping to have Aaron Jones back. He's been out the last 2 weeks, hoping that his injury has subsided enough to get him out there on the field. But regardless of who's out there in the backfield for us, our offensive line needs to step up and start creating some holes against these defenses to allow our run game to start working this season.
Yeah, and so I think that's going to be a crucial part in this game. But another crucial part seems like they're not really doing great when it comes to their secondary. So we could really be seeing some action out of Jordan Love in this young receiver core.
Yeah, especially if Christian Watson is back as well. And all signs point to him coming back this upcoming week. You know, he's been limited practice. He seems like he's getting better every day. So hopefully that Christian Watson can get back in the lineup. And if he is, expect him, expect Dobbs, expect Reed, even Musgrave to have huge days against this Lions secondary. All of the yards that their opponents are getting are via the air these days. Lions have had some big games. They beat Kansas City in the league opener, 21-20, and they beat Falcons last game 20-6. Those are both two really good opponents that they beat. They did lose. They did lose to the Seahawks, but that was kind of a shootout game, and they lost in overtime. The wins against Kansas City and the win against the Falcons are very impressive to me. And if we can't get that run game going against this Lions team and have to rely on the pass, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because again, this Lions secondary has not been very good this season. So expect for this game to be a shootout. I think a lot of airtime for Jordan Love, a lot of airtime for these receivers. And I think it probably will lead to a pretty decently high-scoring game, somewhere in the realm of low 30s to high 20s, like a 31-27.
Yeah. And so we'll see where we can go from there. I'm hoping that we can actually walk away with a win on this one, because I want to even say in my breakdown, I didn't think that we were going to be able to do so. And now that our season started and looking at how this Lions team is playing, it's going to be a challenging game, but by watching the way that our Packers have played these first 3 weeks, minus the 3 quarters from the last game, I think there is a possibility that we could walk away with a win on this one. But with that being said, now moving over to our defensive side, Jared Goff in the last game against the Falcons went 22 for 33 with 243 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. He's playing some good football right now. Jared Goff is really seeing the field well, and I think this game's really going to fall in line on our secondary. It seems like Jared Goff and this receiving core is kind of the reason for putting up the points with this, because last game against the Falcons, they only ended up giving up 115 yards in the rushing game, whereas on the receiving side of this, 243 yards. So it seems like they're really getting the ball in the air, and I feel pretty confident in our secondary with the way that our secondary has actually been playing. And as long as they can keep up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Reynolds, and Khalif Raymond, which Reynolds didn't play last game, but I feel like he should be healthy enough to be back in this game. But if our secondary can keep up with them, I don't see any reason that we don't walk away with the W on this one.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough game regardless. I think that we really had a test against the Saints, and I think this is going to be an even bigger test against the Lions. The Lions have been playing better than the Saints. There's a reason why Jared Goff was the number 1 overall pick when he was drafted. The Rams really didn't allow him to develop at all into the quarterback that everyone thought he would be, but it definitely seems like he's hitting stride right now with the Lions and becoming that quarterback that would boast a number 1 overall draft pick, So he's definitely has the skills to be great, and he's kind of showing it right now. He's been doing great this season. But again, this is going to be a huge test for the Packers. I'm really hoping they could carry the momentum from last game into this game and get the game started off on the right foot. The last thing I want to see is them come out flat against this Lions team for 2 quarters and then have to turn it up in the third. We really need to step up in the first, smack this Lions team in the face, and kind of take control of this game early.
Yeah, as long as we can get control of this game early on and not try to come back once again. I don't think Packer fans out there could deal with another game like that. So, yeah, we really need to clean things up, and I think that if we get started off early, we should be in a pretty good position. Excuse me. But,
so, what's your prediction on final score then?
So, final score prediction that I have on this game, it's going to be a close one, but I agree with you. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say our Packers are going to squeak by with a victory on this one by a field goal. Anders Carlson, 27-24.
I'm saying 31-27. The Lions get the W on this. I said it in my pregame predictions that the Lions would get the W on this game. The Lions have been playing great. Jared Goff has been playing great. That defensive line is stopping everything right now. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I don't see the Packers getting by the Lions this upcoming week, especially on the short week going into it being a Thursday night football game. It might not allow our guys that are injured to get back, and they might not get that enough time to get back, like Watson or Aaron Jones. hoping they are, but again, my prediction is a 31-27 Lions victory.
Okay. Well, let's hope that we can get our guys back, because maybe that'll actually turn out to be something different. Anyways, that does it for this episode. Thank you all again so much for listening. We truly appreciate it. And again, if you haven't, please hit like, and subscribe to our podcast. We truly appreciate everything that you guys have all ended up doing for us, including following us on our Facebook page, West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, and Twitter and TikTok at WC Cheeseheads. Thank you all again so much for everything. We truly appreciate it, and thank each of you for joining us on our West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. Go Pack Go. See you in a couple days.